request will be asked to come forward to the microphone and express their opinion. Each side will have a total of 10 minutes to speak. Development plans require a public hearing. However, no action will be taken by the Planning Commission members. However, plats, rezoning, and street renamings require a public hearing, and once the public hearing is completed, Planning Commission members will deliberate and render their decision. Planning Commission members with a personal or financial interest in any petitioner's request are required to recuse themselves. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce the members of the Planning Commission. To my far left is Mr. Jerome Moore. Next to him is Ann Clemens. We got Buddy Hardwick next to me, the Vice Chairman. Patrick Moss to my far right. Cruz Reeves next to me, and I didn't leave out Mr. Cook, Frank Cook. We have with us today from the Planning Control staff, we have Ms. Tanya Ingram. We have James Center, Tommy Tyson, and Mr. Robert Smith. Members and petitioners are requested to please speak directly into the microphone. The minutes are recorded for legal purposes, and this is the only way to accurately pick up audio. Today we have 7 members present. It takes 5 votes to pass a motion. Because of the number of board members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know when your request is announced. At this point, we want to go ahead and approve the minutes, if we can, please. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And if so, is there a motion to approve them?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. The minutes have been approved. Tommy, ready to go?
Yes, sir. We have 2 items.
Turn his microphone on, please.
We have 2 items today
Still not on.
we have 2 items today that have been delayed. Item number 4 was a request for development plan on the west side of Perry Hill Road, some 160 feet north of Windsor Hill Boulevard. That has been delayed. And a development plan by Goodwin Mills and Kaywood on Oak Grove Way, and that has also been delayed.
What number is that?
Number 7.
That is number 7, number 4 and number 7, I'm sorry.
Thank
Next month.
Okay, so we recognize that number 4 and number 7 have been delayed. So if you're here for those 2 items, we will not be hearing those tonight. Tommy, before you start, I want to say this to the public. We have a total of 24 items before us tonight. While everyone will have a chance to express their views and ideas and so forth, but we will keep the meeting moving. So if things become repetitive, we'll remind you of that in the interest of everybody else's time. Okay, Mr. Tyson.
The first item tonight is by Lat 32 Inc. on behalf of Dominic Saxton. It's a request for final approval of Dominic and Faye Saxton, plat number 1 on the east side of Old McGee Road, 4,200 feet southeast of Mobile Highway. It's an Ag 1 district.
You may present your item, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Dustin Aldridge. I represent with Lat 32. I represent Dominic Saxton. On the last meeting, we delayed this because of the controversy on the road that we have here. And I got the map here that shows the road on our property. But I did meet with the property owner, Mr. Dubose, and Mr. Saxton. And Mr. Saxton said he didn't care who used the road. So they came up with going to do it by separate document of that Mr. Dubose and Mr. Saxton and his father will be allowed to use the road and maintain the road also. And that's where we stand.
Okay, so it seems like the two sides have gotten together and gotten this worked out, and there are no issues.
As far as they hadn't brought any issues up to me when we met, so I think they're both agreeable to, you know,
So when you met, was there an agreement after you all sat down and talked? And
there was a verbal agreement, yes. Yes.
Okay. Members of the commission, do you have any questions for this gentleman? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, the motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion's been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is by Richard Fryer on behalf of Mobility. Public hearing for Mobility cell towers to be located on the right-of-way at 502 Hyundai Boulevard in an M3 district and 6903 East Chase Parkway in a PUD district.
May I approach with a handout? Members of the commission, thank you for having us tonight.
What's your name, sir?
Excuse me, Richard Fryer with Mobility.
You're Richard, okay.
Very excited to bring this project to the city of Montgomery. Instead of a traditional cell tower as we know it, a 300-foot structure with an array of antennas, a compound at the base that consists of a storm shelter, computer equipment, generator, air conditioning, fenced in. All that equipment can now go on a pole, on a utility pole. Much cheaper install. This is a paradigm shift in the delivery of cellular data. So this does allow us to bring this technology into underserved areas, lowering the cost of data for cellular, and boosting the current network that's out there. We have recently received approval from the city on our franchise agreement. We have a couple of attachments. What is before you is a proposed attachments in the East Lake Shopping Center, as well as our own pole out on the on Hyundai Boulevard near the Hyundai plant, simply because there's not a lot of structure, light poles, et cetera, in that area to attach to.
Okay, thank you for that presentation. As you know, members of the audience, this is a development plan. Therefore, we will not be voting on it up here, but the public is welcome to speak for or against this item. This is a public hearing. Anybody wish to come speak for or against it? Or Buddy?
I just have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
What is the required amount of, I won't say acreage because I know it's not going to be acreage, but about what size lot do you need to?
It's like a square yard. I mean, it's only the amount of space for the actual pole.
But I mean, actually, for you to, if you were coming to someone to lease some land from them, what size lot would you want?
Again, I mean, this project is primarily focused on right-of-way where we can in the
Oh, okay. Well,
or a municipal property.
Okay.
And it's really just to put in, really
got
the space to put in a pole.
I got you. Thanks.
That's why they worked it out with the city. It's in the right of way.
Right on.
Any other questions or comments on this item from the commission or the members of the audience? Seeing none, we'll declare public hearing has been held. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for your time.
The next item by Larry Speaks and Associates on behalf of Foshee Design and Construction is final approval of Foshee Design and Construction LLC plat number 1 on the east side of South Court Street, 131 feet south of Dexter Avenue in a T5 Smart Code district.
Good evening. My name is John Foshee, representing Foshee Design and Construction, just requesting approval for a replat of 2 lots on South Court Street.
Thank you, John. Any questions from the commission?
Is this so you'll have access on the rear for exit?
No, sir. It's currently 2 separate lots, and we're just trying to redefine that and replat those lot lines. I'm not sure the property's ever been platted before, so this is the first official plat.
Okay. Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion
Thank
passed.
you.
The fifth item tonight is Donald Evans, on behalf of Evans Park and Pavilion. It's a public hearing for development plan for an open-air flea market and entertainment venue at 3958 Old Montgomery Birmingham Highway. It's a M3 district.
I'm Guthrie Jeffcoat from Jeffcoat Engineers and Surveyors, representing Mr. Evans. He's in the audience. If there's questions that you ask that I can't answer, I'll certainly try to get him to do so.
Well, tell him to come on up.
Okay, come on up, Mr. Evans. We're talking about a piece of land consisting of 57.69 acres, of which you've already approved, and we have filed a plat on it. And there's an existing lake on the property now, and it borders west end drainage ditch. Calls for 427 parking spaces and 4 pavilions and a stage, and there'll be a variety of things that take place out here, from concerts on down to flea markets. And it will still remain 99% open, grassed area, and we'd appreciate your positive response to the development plan.
Okay. Thank you, Guthrie. Any
Yeah.
questions?
Have the people that live in that area been contacted about your intent?
Are people living in the area being contacted about the traffic coming down through there?
The noise too.
He'll need to come to the microphone so we can hear you.
I'm sorry, come on.
Good afternoon. Yes, there's 3 residential dwellings there, and I own all those dwellings. In reference to the businesses in the surrounding area, I've talked to them, they didn't seem to have no problems with it.
May I ask you a question, sir? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, my name is Donald Evans, and I'm the owner of the property and also the business that is in question.
What is the entertainment interest?
We would like to, we're looking at doing maybe jazz on the grass, maybe have some country western show, something along those lines. And I'm gonna work with all the department heads, the fire department, the traffic. Some of them already contacted, some of them been out there. Matter of fact, I think I want to say all of them been out there. And I'm gonna work collectively with all the department heads to make sure that we comply with any regulation and make sure all their questions are answered.
Thank you.
Mr. Evans, does the back end of that property, does it butt up to Maxwell Air Force Base?
Yes, it does. There's a canal ditch that separates my property from Maxwell. I own half of the canal ditch, Maxwell owns the other half.
Okay.
This is a public hearing, so if anyone in the audience, I'm sorry, Cruz, go ahead, buddy.
Since this goes through to Washington Ferry Road, is there going to be an access off of Washington Ferry Road to this?
We can use that as a viable option. That way we can have an interest coming off the Washington Ferry Road, or we can have the interest, well, right now, our primary interest is coming off the Birmingham Highway. So I do have some options there.
But you referred to the 3 houses and you own them. Are those all on Embassy?
That is correct.
What about the houses on Washington Ferry?
If you come off the Birmingham Highway, come on the old Birmingham Highway to the main entrance of my property, the houses is on the left. And I guess
I'm referring to the people that live on Washington Ferry Road. Have you contacted them about this?
No, I haven't. It's quite a ways from the nearest resident on the Washington Ferry Road. It's not like it's across the street. It's about I want to say the nearest house on the Washington Ferry Road, at least about a quarter mile down the road. You got a wooded area, you pass the residential area, then you just got all woods.
Mr. Evans, a couple of questions for you. Which 3 houses do you own?
I own 3976, 3968. I own all 3 of those residential.
Those are the houses where the property line is abuts the proposed project that you're talking about. Is that right?
I say again, sir.
I'm trying to identify which 3 houses, are those the ones that are next door to the property that you're?
That is correct. Those are the only 3 residential houses back there.
So this is telling me that you got 427 cars coming into this area. How many people do you anticipate being in this venue?
It's a fairly large area. It's going to be kind of hard. We just kind of have to gauge it. You can get, I would say, anywhere maybe about 5,000 people. It's a large area.
I mean, I understand the magnitude of it, but my question is this: do the pavilions have bathrooms in them?
Oh, the pavilion right now. What the division is, only thing it is just a concrete slab. It's like a pole barn.
I understand
Okay.
that, but where folks gonna use the bathroom?
Well, we was going to use porta potties.
So you bring porta potties in. So
Yes, sir.
How often will you have events then?
How often? What now?
How often will you have events?
We hoping to have maybe once a month, something like that. But like I say, some of these things we will have to gauge as we go on. We definitely will have security, in place to make sure that all our citizens are taken care of.
So Guster, is this property pretty flat? Is it hilly? Is it what's the general description of the property?
Okay, that's a good question, sir. It's a beautiful landscape. Matter of fact, it's picturesque. You have a pond in front of it, and down in the land itself is a beautiful grassy area. Matter of fact, it has a theatrical shape. The land itself is tilted down towards the pond, so it's got very good drainage, so it doesn't hold water or anything of that nature.
Thank you.
One question. What are you guys making the parking out of for the 427 cars?
Well, we was gonna do quite a few parks. We were acting be a grassy area with the exception of the handicap park. I've always got with the traffic. They came out and we talked about it, and we're going to modify the handicap parks.
Any other questions from the commission? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? This is a public hearing. Seeing none, we'll declare a public hearing has been held. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sixth item is by New South Media Group on behalf of Boykin Incorporated. It's a public hearing for development plan for a new billboard on the north side of Vaughn Road, 600 feet east of Festival Drive in a B5 zoning district.
Hi, my name is Neil Bell. I'm with New South Media Group. Just an application to put a billboard in B5 zoning on Vaughn Road.
Okay, again, this is a public hearing. Anybody on the commission have any questions for this gentleman? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you'll need to come up to the microphone. Thank you.
Is it opposite the BP gas station?
No.
Is it at the Sturbridge side?
Excuse me, ma'am. Would you tell us your name, please?
Pamela Murphy.
Pamela
Murphy.
Murphy, okay.
No, this is
Across from
much
St.
further,
James,
much
too.
further west on Vaughn, I believe, from Sturbridge.
It's across from St. James School
The map's on the
And,
screen now.
and the Methodist Church out there.
Is this where they used to sell the Christmas trees?
Okay, okay.
Is that clear to you now, ma'am, where it is?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? This is a public hearing. Seeing no more, we'll declare public hearing has been held. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
The eighth item is presented by Goodwin Mills and Kaywood on behalf of Premier Holdings LLC, requesting final approval of Premier King's Plat Number 1A on the east side of Northeastern Boulevard, some 250 feet north of Roy Hodges Boulevard. It's a M1 zoning district.
Good evening, Cedric Campbell with Goodwin Mills and Kaywood here requesting approval of a replat for Premier Holdings. We've moved the northern leg of the east property line a couple of feet, and we're asking for approval.
All right, very good. This is a public hearing for a development plan.
No, it's plat.
Plat.
It's plat.
Where are we?
Number 8.
Item 8.
Number 8.
Yeah, sorry about that. This is the plat, I'm sorry. So yeah, this is not a public hearing in terms of the development plan. Any questions from the commission?
Is that access back to Todd, is that simply just to try to get access to the property because you can't get it off of?
Well, there's actually access off of, we recently installed a service road along Northeastern Boulevard. So that development they wanted access to Todd Road and to the service road. So that's to give them access back to Todd Road. That's actually where the Burger King is right now.
Yeah. Hate those flag lots.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you, Cedric.
The ninth
Thank you.
item is presented by Goodwin Mills and Kaywood on behalf of Benjamin Blanchard. It's a request for final approval of Benjamin Blanchard, Plat Number 1, located between East Cloverdale Park and Bulltier Street, some 300 feet south of Woodward Avenue. It's the R65 and R75S districts.
Good afternoon. I'm Benjamin Blanchard, requesting a replatting.
Is this to get a larger backyard on the one on East Cloverdale Park?
That's part of the reason. The existing line cuts about 2 feet behind the house and is at a weird angle between the two houses. So originally found this out when I went before the ARB, got approval to put up a fence in the backyard, and then went to put in the fence and realized that the lot line was at a strange angle between the two houses. So, and cuts really close to the East Cloverdale house. So the proposed replotting runs actually at the end of an existing concrete parking pad that was where we originally thought the two lots were separated.
Is the same owner?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I own both pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Satisfied, crew?
Man.
Any other comments from the commission? Members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The 10th item is by Pilgrim Engineering on behalf of Trum LLC, requesting final approval of Chantilly Waffle House, Plat Number 1, on the west side of Chantilly Parkway, approximately 500 feet south of East Chase Parkway. It's a B2 district.
I'm Pilgrim with Pilgrim Engineering. This is a plat of the remaining lot that Trum has at that location going into the shopping center where the Renfro's or Winn-Dixie was, off of Chantilly. Proposal to put a Waffle House at this location.
Okay. Any members of the commission, any questions, comments? Members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, the motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Thanks, Pep.
The 11th item is by Pilgrim Engineering on behalf of KB Patel Incorporated, requesting to rezone one lot at 1061 Eastern Boulevard from B5 to B2.
I'm Pep Pilgrim. Again, this corner lot currently has a service station on it. It's been there since sometime in the 60s. the original zoning for all of this land around the interchange there was a B5, which is community shopping. An odd thing, the Planning Commission gave them a variance when they built this not to plat it. The B5 zoning has 60-foot front setback, 30-foot rear setback, that's 90 feet. The lot's only 130 foot deep. So we can't satisfy the zoning and build a building back there. It's better for us to just get it rezoned. There's hotels around us, they're all in B5. You know, I would assume we could always request a variance, but this lot, as it's platted, and it's been platted for 40 years now, doesn't lend itself to B5. And the owners want to demolish this building and build a new station.
Thanks, Pep. That's actually the question that I had. My note here says, can this be accomplished without rezoning? And I think you did answer that by saying it could go to the zoning.
Well, you can, but I mean, what you'd have is a lot that doesn't comply, and I just doesn't make sense to me to have a lot that's 130 by 120 and say it's got to be in B5. That just doesn't make sense at all. And just put it into zoning like it is now, and it would qualify. I mean, the building that's there would be okay in B2, but the building that's there is not any good in B5.
He was really trying to clean it up, is all.
What would be a negative for having it at B2?
Well, yeah, the question is, was B2 considered?
Well, this is, that's what we're going to B2.
I mean, considered to be
I mean, if we didn't want to do that, why would we do that? I don't know.
Cruz, tell us what's on your mind.
I was just, you know, if anybody's thinking about not voting for this, I just wondered what would be a negative? What would be a reason to vote not? To vote no? I don't know of one.
You know, it's been there since before I graduated from high school, and it was an all big field, and it didn't really matter back in 1964 or 65. But now I think we ought to get it to the appropriate zoning for what's there and the size of the lot. And these people don't own anything around them, so there's no way to combine it or make it work, I don't think. So this is an appropriate zoning for the lot and the location.
But you mentioned that the Board of Adjustments, did you go there, or were you considering going there before coming here? Or I'm just trying to figure out, have we exhausted all options to make the B2 work?
Well, you mean make the B5 work?
Yeah, from a B5 to a B2,
Well,
yeah.
B5 is Eastdale Mall or Montgomery Mall or East Chase. That's just not an appropriate zoning for a 3/4 acre lot on the corner of the Eastern Bypass. That's just doesn't work.
Mr. Chairman, this zoning was probably, this development on this corner was probably predated the laying on of the comprehensive zoning for the city. When they laid it on, they just laid it on top of it. You can see the bulk of the B5 along the bypass there. They anticipated shopping centers. Those are now car dealerships.
Oh, Tommy, believe me, I understand. I got it.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions from the commission? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Would any opposed? No.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Next item is by Pilgrim Engineering on behalf of the city of Montgomery, requesting to rezone one parcel of land on the east side of Taylor Road, 100 feet south of Halcyon Boulevard, from PGH 35 to B2Q.
This is a piece of land at the Buddy Watson Park. It's currently zoned PGH 35, but what we'd like to do is to put up a, a sign, but it would be kind of a message board sign, and it'd be advantageous to the city facility there, and they'd like to get it rezoned to do this.
Okay?
So the sign's gonna be, is for the baseball.
Well, it won't all be baseball. I mean, it won't all be city. Some of it'll be other advertising that will go on there, but the city will get a use of it. Does that make sense?
You mean other advertising like you see on other billboards that just run, or you mean other advertising for the city, or?
No, it wouldn't all be city advertising. Some of it would be
It'd be
general.
income stream.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Does the city have other billboards that they are, that you get income off of?
There's one at Crampton Bowl. It's a digital reader board like this is. It's a larger one than anticipated here. And there's a billboard at Patterson Field across the road.
So this is not a new business for the city?
I'm sorry?
This is not a new business for the city?
No,
Okay.
no.
So they could potentially advertise, say, a biscuits game or any other venue going on in
Right.
town
Or
from there.
Stivers Ford, you know. I mean, they could just advertise
they make
whatever,
money on
but,
that, yeah.
right.
But that's what it is, it's an income producer.
It's an income stream.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. So Pep, on the diagram or the rendering that you provided here, what's the little triangle for? It says overhead, there's a little triangle there. What is that about?
I don't have it with me, so I can't tell you.
Can you put up the rendering? There you go, yeah.
Oh,
There's a
it's
little-
trying, it's not flat. It's
So this is
you
like
got
a plan of it, okay.
Yeah,
Triangular shape.
you got two faces so you can see it better coming down the road.
It's got 3 faces to the whole thing.
Right, there you
I
go.
got you. Now, yeah, got you.
Yeah. I see what you're talking about now.
It's a pyramid-shaped base.
Yes.
Triangular shape. My buddy said it was a pyramid. And he's older than me, so it's a pyramid. Okay, so any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is by Robert Moore on behalf of CCC Associates, requesting to rezone several parcels of land containing 63 acres at 3561 and 3601 Wetumpka Highway from Ag 1 and B2 to M1.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Robert Moore from CCC and Associates, and we're looking to just that. We have this parcel of land that has most of our buildings on it, starting at Wetumpka Highway, going all the way back to the back of the property. Looking to move that to where it brings it into current use, mainly from the warehouse perspective there.
Okay.
What are you gonna do with the rest of your buildings there? It's outside
Those are most of the buildings. There's greenhouses in the back, but where those are most of the actual substantial buildings we have. And we want to keep all that agricultural. It's still an operating nursery, greenhouse operation.
Any other questions from the commission? The members of the audience who should speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Moved and properly second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
The next item is by Jennifer Behringer on behalf of Syscon LLC, requesting to rezone 671 South Perry Street from T4R Smart Code to T40 Smart Code.
Jennifer couldn't make it tonight, so I'm sitting in for her. My name's Coy Watson. I'm with Syscon LLC.
What was your name again, sir?
Coy Watson.
Coy, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Questions from the commission?
We were just requesting that we can change it to T40, you know, because we have such limitations with the T4R, and, you know.
Questions from the commission?
Why are you just wondering, why are you not doing all of it?
Sir?
Why are you not trying to rezone all of it?
Trying to rezone all of it?
Yeah.
Well, the bottom floor is what we want for retail and stuff like that.
Well, look,
He's talking about the parking lot.
They don't own all the
Oh,
land.
the parking lot?
yeah, I mean, if you look at the red.
They don't own all the land.
Yeah, they don't,
You don't,
We don't own.
You don't own.
they don't
We
own the
don't
parking
own
lot.
that section at this time.
So is that section required to fulfill the parking requirements?
Well, we don't have to have that. No, we got enough parking space.
You got enough parking without
As it is, yes.
that space, that area of parking?
Yes.
So explain this one more time.
All the entrances and everything for the parking is
So you want
on
the
our
bottom
property.
floor for retail?
The top floor, no, sir, the bottom floor. The first floor,
You want the first floor for retail?
yes, sir.
What about the upper floor?
The other floor will be for the commercial office area.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? Any member of the audience who to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor? Is that everybody? Yeah. Okay. Motion passes.
Thanks, sir.
The next item is by Willa Darby on behalf of Frederick Portis. Request to rezone one lot at 1723 Forest Avenue from O1 to B2.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon. Okay, I'm Willa Darby, and I'm here to request that the Planning Commission grant rezoning of the property that's located at 1723 Forest Avenue from O1 office to B2 commercial zoning, where we want to restore and repair antique furniture and do retail sale. Mr. Wilson been restoring furniture since, what did he tell me? Well, for over 10 years, I don't know much. And the property have a double driveway on each side of the property. It's room for 2 to 3 cars to be parked on the street, and it also have a circular drive for loading and unloading.
Are you already in operation out there?
Yes, we are. That's why I'm here, because someone from the zoning department came out. And since I worked for the city 37 years myself, I stepped in and kind of guided them and told them what they needed to do.
So they're already operating, even though we're not zoned for this particular business?
Yes, but we talked with Ms. Rand, and, you know, they said to go ahead on since I went down and requested for it to be rezoning. When we went into the property, the owner, Mr. Porter, told us that it was already zoned commercial. We had no idea that it was not.
And you own the building, or Mr. Portis owns the property?
Yes, sir. Okay, he lived in Huntsville, so that's why I'm here to represent him.
Did you all seek a variance being that close to the school, and just not sure what all the B2 might allow that the school may not like in the future if you're able to get the zoning for Mr. Portis and you leave, which I think your use is fantastic.
No, sir. Mr. Portis just rented us the property knowing what we were doing. We were located on the Howell Street, I think. And he started off working at Bishop Parker, and he branched out on his own.
Let me understand the comment that you made earlier. you made the comment that the business operation had been there for about 10 years.
No.
What was 10
I
years?
said, what I meant was, he's been restoring furniture.
He has.
Restoring
Not
and
there.
repairing antique furniture, yes,
But
sir.
not there.
Not at that location,
How long
no.
has he physically been there?
Yes.
How long has he
Oh,
physically?
he's been there about 4 or 5 months.
So he is leasing the property from Mr. Portis.
Right. Well, when I made contact with Mr. Portis after someone from the city came out, and I told him that it was not zoned for what he rented the property to us for, and I told him what we need to do, he made a trip from Huntsville to come down with me to speak with Miss Helen Rand, and at that point we started to request rezoning so Mr. Wilson can continue to restore and repair antique furniture at that location.
The question that I have, you mentioned something earlier that I just have to revisit with you. You mentioned that he told you it was zoned properly for Mr. Wilson's business. Is that right?
Yes, sir. In the
Well, she's shaking
lease.
her head behind you. Which is she with you? Come to the mic then, ma'am.
I'm so sorry, I don't know the normal protocol,
That's
but
all
my
right, we'll help you
brother,
out.
I am Erica Portis Turner. I'm the sister of the owner of the property, and I was given a letter by him to be able to act on his behalf in this proceeding today. As Ms. Darby said, excuse me, I'm sorry. As Ms. Darby said, my brother recently retired from the Air Force, and he lives in Huntsville. He wanted to make sure that his interests were best served in his absence due to the urgency of the nature. But I just wanted to state, as a matter of record, this is not the first business that my brother has leased this property to. He leased it with the proper information under the right zoning codes. It was up to the tenant's responsibility to make sure that they adhere to the purposes that they said that they were going to lease the property. My brother offered this avenue as an option because they are occupying the business, but it was a total shock when he found out that the items were not, it was not being used as an office setting where things were being refinished and sold off property. They were being sold, I believe he said they were on the sidewalk in front of the building, and that is not what my brother originally agreed to. He's trying to do this in all fairness, if it's possible, with the commission to assist his tenants and allow them to further thrive. He's not trying to remove them in any way. He's not trying to obfuscate any rules or anything like that. I work for the state of Alabama. I'm not going to put my professional reputation on the line. There may be some misunderstanding in, I guess, what someone thought that they heard or misread what was in the lease agreement that was signed by both parties. But we're just trying to see if we can help the tenants in any way. There are other commercial areas that are zoned the same way. There's a CVS pharmacy there.
Ma'am, let me just stop you for a minute. You said something about furniture being sold on the sidewalk. What were you speaking of?
I went by there one day and he had, I think, 4 chairs out on the sidewalk for sale. But it's originally supposed to be for restoring and repairing antique furniture. And like I say, since I worked with the city, I told him he couldn't.
That's not an allowable kind of image. I would think that that's something that we would want to promote, is selling furniture on the sidewalk unless it's properly in the proper element, you know. So by him selling furniture on the sidewalk and it's not even zoned properly for the business in the first place, that tends to bring some problems, I think, to our attention.
Right, so that's why we're
But
trying to
yet
correct
still-
it now. I brought it to his attention that he couldn't do it, you know, because
Where
I
is
knew it
Mr.
was
Wilson
not
now?
right.
Mr. Wilson is not present, obviously.
Ma'am.
Mr. Wilson, is he not present? Apparently not.
No, ma'am.
What does your brother's letter say?
It says, City of Montgomery Zoning Commission, to whom it concerns, I intend to apply for rezoning of my property located at 1723 Forest Avenue, Montgomery, Alabama, 36106, from office to business B2. The stated purpose of the property is for rental investment through lease of property to suitable tenants performing retail sales and restoration of furniture. On account of my distance and sense of urgency in this matter, I assign Ms. Erica Portis Turner as my agent to act on my behalf with regards to the rezoning of subject property and to appear in my absence. I appreciate your time in this matter and consideration. I can be contacted at phone number provided and for any additional information or questions. Very respectfully, Frederick Portis, owner.
Thank you, ma'am. I think Cruz, you had a question?
Yeah. Tommy, with this zoning, can he sell stuff that he?
Sure.
Yes.
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 Just not on the sidewalk.
And he's not, no, it wouldn't be restricted to the outside either.
He wouldn't put it on the sidewalk, he'd be putting it on his property.
Yeah, on his property, adjacent to it.
Tommy, could he
Well, it
could he
wasn't
start a
actually
restaurant
on the
with
sidewalk, it was
beverages
in
or
the driveway,
drinking?
in the circular drive.
Tommy, could he start a restaurant and serve alcohol?
He'd have to get an alcohol license through the city council, and he would not be able to get past the 250-foot rule because of the school's location and residential zoning.
Well, what you're getting down to, I guess, is would they be satisfied just to use it for this restoration? Is that what you're trying to do?
I was just trying to determine if anything, if it was granted B2 that could come back to bite the school, or it's an eclectic neighborhood that has all type of different vendors, and I think it restoration of furniture, even sales of furniture fits in there, but I'm not sure that some other uses that would be allowed in B2 would be suitable, but Tommy might be able to speak to what other uses that could be harmful, and there may not be any that would be allowed to get through the system.
Well, it wouldn't be able to have enough parking for a restaurant.
I guess the question, Tommy, is if it goes to B2, what other allowable uses are in that B2 category? I think that's what you want to know, right, Jerome?
Yeah, this is just a lease, and it's a great area, and it just seems like an acceptable use. Is there anything, if it goes to B2, that we should be concerned about?
Well, if it went to B2, it allows automobile service stations, convenience stores, grocery stores, general retail, drug stores.
Yeah, it also allows stores selling food, general merchandise, apparel, furniture, housewares, household wares, drugs and sundries, jewelry, gift items, flowers, sporting goods, dry cleaning, laundry pickup stations. I mean, a host of all of the typical retail uses. But now bars and restaurants, all of that would fall within the 250-foot rule, and if it didn't comply, then they wouldn't be allowed to do that, or they'd have to get it approved by the Board of Zoning Adjustment first, before it goes to, and then go to the council for approval.
Tommy or Robert, the lady here, Ms. Portis, is acting on behalf of her brother. Is it required that the landlord be here for any meeting, or is?
No.
Okay.
It's all about the property owners.
Okay, the property.
It's about the property, and it sounds to me like she's acting as his agent.
She's acting as his agent.
She has a letter
Okay,
authorizing
and the
that.
letter is sufficient, that's what I'm
Adequate,
saying.
Yes, it is.
Could the tenant have come in here without the landlord knowing?
No, it would have to require a letter from the
Okay,
landlord.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
We checked.
Okay, we're straight, okay.
The owner or the owner's agent.
Okay, and you've got this letter, that letter will be part of the file, right?
That letter's gonna go in our file, yes.
Okay, we're straight, thank you.
Okay, so here we are. We got to make a call on this one, folks. Are there any other questions from the commission? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, the motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made and properly second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I oppose.
I'm sorry. All opposers?
I think it ought to be queued. But that's all right, we didn't get that, so I oppose.
Okay, thank you.
Respect.
Thank you for that clarification.
Ms.
We had
Morris?
one, Tanya, we had Mr. Cook. Thank you. Okay, next item, Tony.
Okay, let's see. We're on 16 now, I believe. J.M. Garrett and Son, on behalf of East Montgomery Islamic Society, requesting final approval of East Montgomery Islamic Society LLC Plat Number 1 on the south side of Vaughn Road, 300 feet east of Deer Creek Way in a PGH 40 and PUD zoning districts.
Good afternoon. I'm Frank Garrett, representing the East Montgomery Islamic Society. The development plan for this lot has already been approved, but they need to have a plat in order to build. They've already had their groundbreaking ceremony today.
Okay. Hey Frank, how you doing, buddy?
I've had a back operation, and I've done better, but I'm going to make a recovery, and I'm going to be down here to talk to you gentlemen and ladies
Okay.
for a long time.
Just hadn't seen you in a while, that's all. I hope you're doing good.
Thank you.
Members of the commission, do we have any questions or comments for Mr. Frank? We're going to get to you in just a minute, but come on up, come on up, come on up. Any questions or comments from the commission? Members of the audience, please state your name, sir.
Hey, I'm David Smart. I live at 8654 Ashworth Drive in Deer Creek, and just had some questions that had come up over time up to this point, just to understand how these items would be handled. There was a question about development of how the sewage would be handled, as to whether it would be a septic system, which we understood was not acceptable, or it would be connecting to the lines on Vaughn Road. Could that be answered, please?
Well, Mr. Smart, I want to remind you, and maybe Frank can talk to you a little bit about this, but this...
I'll be glad to.
This is for a plat. This is for a plat.
Oh, okay. So these questions then are not
Well, I can answer-
germane?
But we can answer the questions, I'm just letting you know it's for a
We can answer
plat.
the questions, but we're dealing with strictly with the legal description of the property and the mapping of the property.
Right.
The plan has been approved, the building permit's been issued. They aren't using sanitary sewer, they're hooking it up, it's not gonna be a septic tank.
They have an easement through Emmanuel Presbyterian Church to get to existing sewer. So it will be handled by sewer, not septic tank.
But go ahead, we'll
All
be
right.
patient with you and
Thank
get your
you.
questions out there.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
There was also a question about the drive that there was an easement requested to allow emergency vehicles side by side to get in. Was that resolved?
Actually, I don't know about an easement. If they have a 50-foot strip of property, and the fire department has said that we have to widen the existing driveway to 25 feet to get 2 fire trucks down that thing, and that's part of the plan.
Okay, what's your next item, sir?
Next question was that the...
Let me ask a question on that to understand myself. Frank, are you saying that this, it's a 50-foot right now, is that correct? The flag is
Right.
50 foot wide?
It's 50 foot wide.
All right, are you saying, did I understand you to say that it's going to wind up being 75 foot now?
No, sir.
Okay.
Within the 50-foot strip of land,
Yes,
there's a driveway to get to the back. It's approximately 15 foot wide. We're going to widen it on out within the 50 foot to accommodate fire trucks.
Then there was a point also that at Vaughn Road, where the driveway is actually going to be crushed stone, that there was a distance from Vaughn Road back to where the crushed stone begins, that would be concrete to keep the stone from getting on Vaughn Road.
That's addressed in the engineering plans. I have it where you have to go back 25 feet from the property line into the driveway with the concrete, and then the rest of the concrete goes on out to Vaughn Road.
Then there was a question of, there was a drainage issue going back on the pod, the Glen Rose pod at Deer Creek. There's a drainage pond there. There was a concern about the volume of water going into that and coming from the churches there. What is the status of that drainage situation?
Actually, we have a retention pond within the property that the city of Montgomery has approved to handle the amount of water runoff that this is going to create. That's been approved.
And final question. In previous meetings, there was a mention of a traffic study because of Deer Creek Way being a main thoroughfare for a development with over 1,600 homes and having the traffic turning from this area at question with the traffic light at Deer Creek Way, how the traffic would merge into Vaughn Road. Was a traffic study ever done?
No, sir, there was never a traffic study done. However, they are exiting the same way the cell tower does, which is right next to them, and the same way that the Manual Presbyterian Church exits onto Vaughn Road. So when we presented it, traffic did not ask for any decel lanes or anything like that.
Mr. Smart, are you satisfied, sir?
That concludes my questions. With this plating, are there any further public hearings involved that questions like this could be answered?
No, sir. Not from the planning commission side, no, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other members? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Frank, I have a problem with one of your explanations. You're going to widen within the 50 feet to gain the 75. How do you do that?
No, sir. We're not going to widen that 50 feet. There's no way they can because they don't own the property. There is a 15-foot driveway within the 50-foot coming off of Vaughn Road that goes all the way from Vaughn Road back to the rectangle at the back. They've been using that driveway to get back there for years. However, the fire department has asked us to widen that driveway to 25 feet, which we can do within the 50 feet. And that's what we're going to do so that the fire department can get their fire trucks back there in the event of a fire or something like that.
So Frank, to be clear, all this is happening within the 50 feet.
Yeah.
What was that, sir?
The widening of the road is happening within the 50 feet.
It's within the 50 feet.
Yes.
It does not go past the property line.
That's what I wanted to make clear. All that.
Yeah. See, at one time, 75 feet came up, and that just wasn't
No, that's
true.
no. Okay.
The 25 is within the 50, okay.
We have one other person. Please come up, ma'am. State your name.
I have one more question.
Give us your name.
Pam Murphy.
Hey, Pam.
On the property, as it existed way back when, it was a single house, and it had a well, and it had a septic tank. And my question is, in the new construction, since the foundation work is being done now, was the well capped and was the septic tank pulled? I ask that because I own property downhill of it, and with the building going on top of that property,
Sure.
I have
We'll
personal interest in that.
Mr. Garrett can answer your question.
I will have to say that I do not know whether it's...
Come to the mic a little closer, Frank, if you don't mind.
Excuse me. I do not know whether the well has been capped and the septic tank removed. However, we will not be using the septic tank at all.
Okay.
Well, and not only that, but we have water coming in from Deer Creek. But the only thing that could happen is if they discover either the well or the septic tank under the existing building that they're building now, it'd probably come in, and they're certainly not going to build over it and remove it and replace it with dirt.
Okay.
So again, how do we find out whether or not the septic tank was pulled? You know, at what point, who
So
checks
let me
that?
make sure, let me just clarify something. If I understand correctly, I think a building permit has been issued. Is that right, Mr. Tyson?
Yes, it has.
So at that point, those technical details would have been dealt with during the development of the plans and specifications, and I'm sure that the city would have taken a look at your items
Certainly.
of concern. So I think the real answer is going to come from the folks at the city.
Okay, so I can go and see somebody has actually signed off and checked off that box?
I don't know if it's existing or if it's a matter of record or not.
Was the well and the septic tank on this platted piece of property that we're looking at here, or was it on part of the other?
No, it's
property?
on that.
It's
Yeah.
within that.
It's on that.
And I think what I'm saying to you, ma'am, is as far as what we're considering here, your concern really is at a different department. And that's what the city's folk who can give you those specifics. Whatever your concerns are in terms of the well being capped and the septic system and so forth, I don't know what particular department to go to, but I would imagine Mr. Tyson or some of the ladies over here or Ms. Ingram could tell you where you can be directed for that specific answer. But that's not really something that we would deal with
I
tonight.
understand that. I'm just trying to find out what duck I need to go follow.
Well, that's what I think. Matter of fact, Tanya's real good about that kind of stuff. She can help you. Now, there was another hand up back here, ma'am. Did you want to come forward and give us your name? Okay. Thank you, Pam.
My name is Anna Smart. I live in Deer Creek. And my concern is, I don't know, you know, when all of this is done and being put together, does anyone ever really go out and look at the property we're referring to? I mean, is that out of the question? Because this is a tiny plot of land that's going to be jammed up next to our subdivision. And it is tiny. And there's so many issues that are not really resolved, in our opinion, for the residents. But does anybody really go out there and look at the property that we're referring to?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know what I'm talking about? Do you see what I'm talking about?
I know where it is and what size it is, yeah.
And so you think that's reasonable?
Well,
we're not.
We don't determine that.
That question's been answered, ma'am. It was answered in the rezoning.
Who's talking? I can't
From here,
I am.
to your left.
Oh, you, okay.
Yes. The item had a public hearing, had two public hearings with the Planning Commission, and then it was approved by the City Council. It's been rezoned. All the plans have been submitted, the engineering drawings, the construction plans, and the traffic engineering. All those questions have been handled through
I was here for
the development
those.
process, and a building permit has been issued.
Okay, well, there was something mentioned a little earlier, and I didn't write it down clearly, but they said that there would be an inspection to see if something was mentioned, but it would be an inspection, but everything's been approved already, so.
They make inspections during the course of the construction especially on commercial buildings and churches, those type things. They have regular building inspectors that go out and make sure that the plumbing's done correctly, that the electrical's done correctly, that all the different elements of construction are done. I mean, we have a department that does that.
Okay, well, my final question is this. If you come across something that is not meeting code, does the building completely stop?
It's either corrected or it's stopped, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just so the folks who have concerns know, your questions really are important. Difference is, as far as our jurisdiction up here,
Right.
we're not really dealing with that tonight.
I got
Don't
you.
want to be rude, but just
Oh,
want to
that's
let you
okay.
know.
That's okay.
that
I
you
never
really-
know.
But it's good to come get the information.
Yeah,
But
okay.
Tommy and Tanya, these guys can help you with those technical
Okay,
types of
all
questions.
right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I probably
Well,
shouldn't
Frank,
address.
before you start, I want to ask if we have any more people who wish to speak for or against this item. Seeing none, is a motion in order?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's everybody. Motion passes.
Next item is by J.M. Garrett and Son on behalf of Sun.
Hang on, Tommy. I thought I saw your hand go up, buddy. I'm sorry. Please note that Buddy did not vote for this item. Thank you.
Do you abstain?
But the motion still passes. I'm sorry, Tommy, go ahead.
J.M. Garrett and Son on behalf of Sun State Oil Incorporated for public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located at 6025 Atlanta Highway in a B3 district.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Richard Bollinger. I'm with J.M. Garrett Son. I'm representing Sun State Oil. They're taking a couple of existing lots. One of them happens to be their gas station. The one next door to it is the Pizza Hut that's closed down. And they're actually putting a larger facility out there on this piece of property.
Thank you, Richard.
Richard, what's going into, or do they know yet what's going into?
He hasn't shared that with me. It's designed to have eateries on either end with a convenience in the middle. That's all I know right now.
Okay, any more questions from the commission? This is a public hearing, so any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, we'll declare a public hearing has been held. Thank you, sir.
Next item by J.M. Garrett and Son on behalf of Sun State Oil, requesting final approval of Sun State Oil Plat Number 1 on the north side of Atlanta Highway, 400 feet west of Sylvester Drive. It's a B3 district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Richard Bollinger again with J.M. Garrett and Son, and as I said earlier, we're taking two lots, putting them together as one that would accommodate this development.
Very good. Any questions or comments from Mr. Bollinger? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed?
Thank you,
Motion
Mr.
passes.
Chairman.
Thank you.
The next item is by Westbrook Engineering on behalf of C.L. Yan. Public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located on the east side of Bill Joseph Parkway, 2,000 feet south of Wasden Road. It's a M3 district.
Give us your name, sir.
Patrick Stanton, representing Westbrook Engineering on behalf of the owner, Ceylon.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself on this one.
Please let the record reflect that Mr. Harvick recuses himself.
Again, we're just asking for approval of development permit to build a approximately 187,000 square foot building on this property.
Well, I just want to correct you. You're not wanting a development permit, or do you?
Development plan approval.
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
Sorry.
No problem. So yeah, this is a public hearing. Any members of the commission wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? We'll declare public hearing has been held. Thank you. Next item.
Okay. Westbrook Engineering on behalf of C&J USA LLC. It's a public hearing for development plan for a new building to be located at 6380 Mobile Highway. It's a M3 district.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself on this one.
Let the record reflect Buddy has recused himself, please. Go.
Patrick Stanton, representing Westbrook Engineering on behalf of the owner, C&J USA Incorporated. Again, requesting development plan approval for the construction of approximately 360,000 square foot facility on Mobile Highway. We have previously visited the council with this property and with this project, but the project has grown from about 180,000 square feet to 360,000 square feet. So we're here again requesting approval.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. Any members of the commission wish to speak to this item? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a public hearing has been held. Thank you.
Next item is by Westbrook Engineering on behalf of C&J Incorporated, requesting final approval of C&J Plat Number 1 on the west side of Mobile Highway, 3,000 feet north of Pyramid Avenue, in a M3 district.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to recuse myself on this one.
Let the record reflect the same. Thank you.
Patrick Stanton, representing Westbrook Engineering, again on behalf of the owner, C&J USA. Just requesting plat approval on this property at Mobile Highway.
Members of the commission, any comments or questions for Mr. Stanton? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been moved and properly second. All in favor? All opposed? One recused.
Thank you, council members.
Next item is presented by Flowers and White Engineering on behalf of Hampstead LLC. It's a request for final approval of Hampstead plat number 18E on the southwest corner of Long Acre and Tavistock Street in a T40 Smart Code District.
Hey, KJ.
Hey, bud. How y'all?
Good.
Kenneth White with Flowers and White Engineering, representing Hampstead LLC. The first plat you have in front of you is 18E. We're simply adding a parcel to the back of that lot that was previously platted. There's a private sewer easement that goes across that, and they just wanted to take the parcel out of the lot.
Members of the commission, any questions or comments for KJ? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. All in favor? No opposers.
Thank you.
Next item is by Flowers and White Engineering on behalf of Hampstead LLC. Request final approval of Hampstead plat number 18F on the southwest corner of Margaret Street and Lake Edge Street in a T4R Smart Code District.
Again, Kenneth White with Flowers and White, representing Hampstead LLC. This plat 18F just simply replats two lots into one.
Members of the commission, any questions or comments for KJ? Any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, the motion's in order.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Motion passes.
The next and final item is by Flowers and White Engineering on behalf of Hampstead LLC, requesting final approval of Hampstead plat number 18G on the north end of Clerkenwell Street, 200 feet north of Margaret Street in a T4R Smart Code District.
Good evening again, Kenneth White, Flowers and White, representing Hampstead LLC. This plat 18G simply adds a private alley to the back of the platted lot. This alley was extended to a future street, that's Portman Street, that's currently under construction in Phase 4 at Hampstead.
Any members of the commission have any questions or comments for Mr. KJ? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to speak for or against this item? Seeing none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion's been moved and properly second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Is there any more business that comes before the commission? If not, this meeting is adjourned.